Now we're having Ray, one of the most prominent activists for Hong Kong's self-governance, for Hong Kong's independence, the first person who actually got political asylum, first Hong Konger in Germany. And Ray, firstly, thank you so much for coming here to Poland. And today, a little bit earlier, you took part in a rally in support for the Chinese people that are protesting right now. Can you say a couple of words? What do you think about Poland? It's probably your first time. What do you think about Polish people and the atmosphere in the city?
Yeah, I think historically we have a lot of things to learn from Poland because Poland has been invaded by the Communist Party, and their civic movement was also severely suppressed by Moscow. But yet they managed to fight back, they managed to get their independence back. And I think one thing we should really learn from the Poles is their spirit not to give up. They have gone through a lot of hard times, but still their spirit has never been undermined.
With the current events in China, with that white paper revolution that's going on, what is the reaction in Hong Kong, and what do Hong Kongers think about the current protests in China?
Yeah, there are mixed feelings among Hong Kong people because a small group of them, they believe that Chinese people deserve that. They deserve to be suppressed. They remembered back in 2019, a lot of Chinese netizens were actually accusing Hong Kong protesters of colluding with the CIA, with foreign governments. They believe that Hong Kong protesters are not sincere. And therefore, Hong Kong people didn't really forgive those absurd comments. But I believe the majority of Hong Kong people actually is very supportive because we know we have the same enemy, which is the Chinese Communist Party. If Chinese people don't stand up for their freedom and democracy, our chance to be an independent city, to have our own autonomy, is also very slim.
And I think that Taiwanese people might find a lot of in common. Just when you said that some Hong Kongers do support, some of them still think that Chinese people had it coming, they deserved it. I've heard the similar reaction coming from Taiwan. People were saying, yeah, maybe they're protesting right now, but they still might be supporting like the Great Unification, 大一统. Or they used to say that they're gonna kill all the people in Taiwan, 留岛不留人, things like that, leave the island, kill the people. And therefore, as a Hong Konger, seeing like how do the Hong Kong people react to those protests, what do you have to say to the Taiwanese people, especially if you consider the recent elections that the results were far from the best for the self-governance supporters and independent supporters?
Yeah, I think Taiwanese people shouldn't underestimate Xi Jinping's will to so-called take back Taiwan. A lot of people would still argue that it's irrational for Xi Jinping to militarily invade Taiwan because, first of all, there is a Taiwan Strait. It's very difficult for any kind of military maneuver. And secondly, by invading Taiwan, China will be financially sanctioned basically by the whole world. But what we have seen and what we have learned in the Ukraine war is that, authoritarian regime is not always rational. They are confined by their small circles, and they have different motivations to make decisions as to whether they are going to invade another country. For example, Xi Jinping may want to consolidate his power by invading Taiwan so that the Chinese nationalists would stand in support with Xi Jinping. We could never know. So I think Taiwanese people really shouldn't underestimate and should get themselves prepared for a potential invasion.
Like with all of those totalitarian countries, it's very hard to analyze them from the point of view of a sane person. You cannot say like, what does the crazy person think? Because they're not actually led by reason in in many times. And therefore, if they're going to attack or not, it's only up to Xi Jinping to decide. Logic doesn't work here. How do you see the future of the relationships between Taiwan and Hong Kong, especially when Taiwan started to receive some of the Hong Kong refugees, but there still have been some voices that Taiwan doesn't do enough for Hong Kongers. Can you give your perspective on that thing?
Well, Taiwan has been very supportive on different levels. The Taiwanese government has been publicly supporting the 2019 anti-extradition movement. Tsai Ing-wen was very supportive too. And on the level of civil society, we have extensive exchange between both places. I personally also have a lot of Taiwanese friends in different parties, in different organizations, and I could only foresee this kind of exchange between the people of Hong Kong and Taiwan will be deepened. In terms of the refugee immigration policy, there were demands from Hong Kong people that the Taiwan government should introduce lifeboat schemes, particularly for Hong Kong protesters. I also talk with a lot of Taiwan's diplomats on this issue. I understand they genuinely worry that Chinese government would make use of this kind of lifeboat schemes to infiltrate Taiwan, and I also agree this kind of concern is legit. But I believe between granting asylum, granting permanent residency to Hong Konger and completely rejecting Hong Konger, there is still room in between for Hong Konger to come to Taiwan. Let it be through study scheme or through working visa, and I see rooms for improvement in these two visa scheme.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
撐香港。
多謝。
OK， 各位，我们刚刚有参加，就是一个电影播放会，就是这一部《香港本色》，然后我刚好遇到 Ken， 他是住在华沙的香港人，也刚好是一个PL for Hong Kong， 就是这个组织的创办人。你可以大概跟各位观众讲一下你今天的这个电影播放会的事情，以及你们 PL for Hong Kong 在做什么？
好的。那大家好了，我叫 Ken， 我是香港人。那我就2019年的时候，那个香港的反送中示威之后，我就成立了 PL for HK。那我们是一个在波兰的香港组织。那我当时19年的时候就看到香港的示威，我就当时在波兰，我觉得作为一个香港人，就好想做一些东西，所以我就在6月的时候，就在华沙的市中心就举办了一次的示威，然后就成立了 PL for HK。那我们组织的目标就是为香港争取民主，还有教育波兰的大众，那让他们知道在亚洲、香港或是在中国的人权问题，还有民主自由的问题，所以就是主要是我们组织的这个目的。那今天我们就很荣幸请到Ray Wong 来到我们这里的放映会。那这个是我们在波兰国际人权月的活动里面其中一个放映会。那上星期了，我们就有的 Hong Kong 就是前苹果日报的创办人李志英的纪录片。今天我们就有黄台仰的纪录片叫《香港本色》。那下星期呢，我们就有另一套纪录片叫《因为爱所以革命》。那这3套的纪录片就是我们这个月的人权月的活动。那么我们希望透过这些活动呢，就可以令更多的波兰人知道香港或者是中国或是亚洲发生的事情，还有维持我们这个香港的抗争的精神。那今天我都很 就是很感动，因为看到除了一些波兰人，还有一些台湾人来支持我们之外，还有一些勇敢的中国人来到我们的放映会。因为今天他们在华沙市中心有一个那个示威的活动，就是响应他们在中国的那个白纸革命，他们就在华沙举办了一个海外的支持活动。那他们就刚才就完了那个示威之后，就来我们的电影院来支持我们，所以就非常感谢他们的支持，还有非常对于他们的勇敢的发声就很感动，所以都希望将来的活动有更多台湾的朋友还有中国的朋友来支持我们，就让更多人知道香港还有中国发生的事情。那我们有 Instagram 还有 Facebook， 那我们的 Instagram 和 Facebook 都是 PL4HK for 就是英文字母的4，
连结会在荧幕上出现。4HK， 那就给我们点赞，还有支持我们，因为我们需要更多的支持者，然后把我们的专业推动给更多不同的人，去知道世界的另一端发生什么事。一定要追踪哦！感谢 Ken，
谢谢大家。